too close. We're all of a sudden cutting down our corals even less. Now there's nothing left but that one extremely hardy brown coral, right? Because it's the only thing that can hang, just like you're going into a desert or doing something, and desert flowers, your wild garden becomes transplanted into desert flowers. So what's happening? Much more light. And biologists pull up and they go, look, they're all turning brown. Were you there a couple of years ago and there were everything was different colors, or was it all browns with a couple of reds? And now as we've grown, there's maybe a few or less reds and yellows out of the thing, and they're all browns. Browns is taking over. It looks like brown's been taking over before you were even looking at it. Looks like brown's the last thing that it does as it dies off and becomes Gilligan's Island. Looks like this has happened hundreds of times before, ever since corals have been growing, and we weren't even people back then. Here's a big cup and shut the fuck up. And quit trying to press this issues that aren't the same. I am the conservationist of the reef. Save the whales, oh my God. And at the same time, I'm here to tell you that they keep pushing this issue in a false way. This thing that I won't show you the video of, basically they come across a bunch of atolls and they show you how they're browning out and stuff. And I was like, well, I didn't explain that to you. It might take 20 or 30 minutes and I go out in left field back and right. But if I stayed on topic, in 5 minutes you'd realize it looks stupid. And then if I show you the way that the heat has gone in the last 9,000 years and where we're at here currently and stuff, and man, it doesn't look like it's going zoom, does it? Where we're going zoom, we're going to die in 12 years. Well, it's past 12 years now and nothing's happened, and they said 12 years again. We're going to keep doing this till another ice age hits, and then they went, I told you. Watch, just idiocy. And this thing happens pretty quick. It'll be a slower downturn. You'll be like, well, maybe it's, oh my God, woof. In one generation, you will have realized that it happened. In the next generation, you will be telling those people how it used to be before this ice age. Well, when's this going to go away, Grandma? Not for another couple of 10,000 years. It's the world's gonna be a totally different place, and it isn't the place that you thought it was headed to with this global warming. In fact, we may be staving that off somewhat, but one wonders if that makes it bounce even harder. Anyhow, different things, different strokes, different folks, but the reality of this all is that somebody can have all these corals and get in a healthy coral and put it in a place, and it'll start bleaching out in this badass reef that's growing things like crazy. And what the hell? So he drops it down in a slightly shaded position and stuff, and it starts to color back up. And it's just like it had been just too much. You ever buy about 10 house plants and have a couple of them die? Or transplant one and then have it die and wonder, well, I probably messed with the roots too much and blah, blah, blah. Yeah, it was a big shock. But if you do it right, it doesn't shock them much, and you can do something like this. I always thought it was pretty important. I've made a video about phytoplankton and how it eats more carbon dioxide and gives off more oxygen than the rainforest does by a factor. And we cultured this green water stuff and did it for these reefs. And if we were to do it nowadays and culture it and put it on every ship that goes across and dump it at certain places, you'd probably get an effect out of it, and you'd think, well, you're pissing in the wind. Well, look at the silly stuff they're trying to do about kelp farts, and you realize that you could apply this probably much more correctly. You could even put out, they've made these tubes that are extremely long and deep down the ocean, and they take and percolate the deep water nutrient up to the surface and spill it out. And if they do that coming into coral reefs, boom, they start to grow vibrantly. Talk about what helps out Fiji. Fiji was a place that was having a bleaching event, and again, it was the thing where they figured out there's this new paint plant. They wash their crap off, into these creeks. That creek goes into that river runs right out here, and lo and behold, it comes out here and it goes right across the reef, and that's where the problems are. And they had the kids doing it. They still show you this video, and they'll show you these kids crying and stuff about how the reef's going away. They show them playing in the reef, and then oh, the reef's going away. Before they ended that thing, they knew that what had caused that and what can fix it. And instead, they just wanted you to throw millions at them. Anyhow, there's my little rant for the day. Coral reef, bleaching stuff, what happens, what causes that, cause and effect. Hey, you get a bunch of atolls happening and you see a bunch of brown corals and not so much vibrance unless you go into the deeper reaches of it. And yeah, that makes sense. As it starts to get closer to the surface and gets much more warmer water, that's going to become less and less variety, isn't it? Yeah, then you're going to have bleaching events, come back and go and come back and go. Yep. Those parrotfish still out there? Yeah. Yeah, this is natural. A lot of these things are extremely natural. It's all part of the circle of life on this incredible planet that we live on. People just look at reefs and stuff as being something from a total different planet that we're affecting that we shouldn't ruin. A couple hundred years ago, people didn't know this existed. All they had was buckets with a tarred-in piece of bad glass you couldn't hardly see through normally, sticking on the surface and looking down. That's how they named that spriggly coral acropora that looks more like this right here, for it's on the Acropolis and growing at the top, and Montipora is on the mountains up above it, and there's stuff below. But look how they used to draw sharks and weird crap back in the day, and it's quite the weird look from what it is. Anyhow, guys, like, share, and subscribe, and enjoy. Peace. We're out.